Ba ba da ba 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 da ba 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 ba. Ba, 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 da, ba, 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 da, 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 Hey, I'm Kamurai, we're Jabba Toast. Talk about things and stuff and things and kitties. There's always kitties. There you go. Fluffy monster. So let's I got some things I want to get through today, and I've added some things, and so I don't want to eat up too much time on any one thing, especially since I've got something big to end on. But Red versus Blue, season 13, episode 7 is our most recent. Locus of Control, like, we got some really interesting exposition on one of our villains, one of the mercenaries. Let's be honest, the mercenary's not. He's a villain only in the sense in relation to others. He's not like, oh, I love making you suffer. It's more of like, hey, I get paid to do this. I'm not saying that. Okay, that opens a moral quandary, but let's not do that right now. But Felix and him both got to see something inside that portal that is going to mess with them, and I'm willing to bet that Locus, being the more serious of the two, is going to have some major issues with it, especially if, because apparently back when, like, they were actual soldiers, and so apparently they came across an alien at one point that just couldn't communicate to him that he was peaceful, and he had got to live through the execution of that alien, which was really crazy interesting. But I don't think we got a lot out of this one. I was really looking forward to something more going into Agent Main, and I think they gave him some UNSC armor that wasn't his old suit, the one that they're actually tinkering with for the new meta project or whatever you want to call it. So, but I can't. It's really hard to tell because Agent Main was bald, as far as we know. A lot of his distinguishing features were hidden, other than like his tattoo back in the olden days. So now it's hard to place, especially since we didn't really get to hear Agent Main speak properly. He did a lot of guttural stuff because he had a throat injury from way back when, and I guess he's healed up now. Because if that was him, he's talking fine, and I don't know. But it was really good to hear the exposition from him about how he felt about the AIs being ripped away from him. Because I think he called them his friends, and I'm rubbing my face because cat hair. But so I want more Agent Main. Like, in general in my life, I want more Agent Main. Let's move on to screen.yahoo.com/community. I liked this a lot. I really have to admit, I'm not super big on spy stuff. The spy stuff that I've watched, like, I'm not a big James Bond fan, but the spy stuff I've watched, it's because of certain actors or actresses that are involved, because I want to see more stuff with them in it, and then I end up enjoying the show because the show's good, not just because of whoever I'm watching it for. And eventually I will stop doing this, I promise. So the yearly paintball thing, which is actually an amazing thing, I really wish was a real life thing. It's like if you enter this area, paintball is on. But they were doing this whole thing with like these bad headsets and trying to, I don't even know what the point is, because it's one winner. It's always one winner, but every year they group up to try to do things. It's like the Hunger Games, but with paintball. So you team up with your friends to try to get as far as you can, then you and your friends duke it out for supremacy in the end. And Jeff was like, no, I'm done. And then it was all reflex, where he's just killing a bunch of people. But Frankie's never been a part of that, and of course she's too stringent of the rules to adhere to that kind of nonsense. So they're like trying to hide it from Frankie, and then it gets out, and the whole thing with the janitors. Really funny episode. Really enjoyed it. I don't know. It's really remaining a good show. It's never going to be a great show, but I really enjoy it. I really enjoy the characters, and it doesn't take a lot from these characters to get things to happen. I could say a lot of the same things about this other show I'm about to talk about, Other Space. If you go to screen.yahoo.com/other-space, horrible choice, by the way. That should have just been Other Space, or maybe underscore, but not a hyphen. How did I say this? All right, this caught my eye because I saw a mildly attractive girl with explosions behind her. What the fuck is that? Because it didn't make any sense. And then I looked at it, and I read the thing. I'm like, oh yeah, this looks like hijinks in space. That's great. And so what it really is, it's a Lost in Space knockoff. Not like Voyager was, but like a comedy version. Like, it's only like 6 people and a robot and an AI. Which is actually my favorite part of the entire show, that they incorporated someone who wasn't physically there, but didn't try to do holograms. They just essentially had her on TV screens. But she was very physically active. It wasn't just like a picture. It wasn't like Cortana or anything like that. It was just a person in a camera, and like she's just in a blank room, essentially. And then she had her own dashboard for things. So like while she was computing, she would do things like this. And like, so the idea is that they had realistic enough computers that they could act as people do, which I find thoroughly intriguing. And it helped that they even made a joke about this. So it's not just me, but it helped that she was moderate, or at least moderately to highly attractive, depending upon your taste, of course. But they made a whole joke about that, that like, at the beginning, the captain was supposed to find the AI attractive enough to want to appease it, but not necessarily want to like actually have sex with it or something. It's not the entirety of the jokes for that, but a lot of the jokes kind of swing that direction. What sold me on watching this show was not the cute AI girl, and maybe I'm a pig on some level, but I found out that the cute AT&T girl is actually in this, and it wasn't necessarily okay. I remember the AT&T girl because she's cute, but there's a couple scenes where like I'm like, that's a really good moment. Like, I wonder if she's done anything else, but I have no idea how to look her up. Because you type in cute AT&T girl, I'm sure you're gonna get some things that are not safe for work. But she's in this as one of the main characters, and I was thoroughly intrigued. Her character was kind of off because it definitely wasn't the customer service friendly type person. But she's not like super mean either. It's just different. And they go through all those same rigmaroles in one season of people lost in space together, who's sleeping with who, and who gets along with who, and etc. So like it's really neat to see everything they did with it, and I would definitely recommend watching Other Space. And as far as I know, it's on Yahoo Screen. I don't know if it's anywhere else. It could be. Honestly, it could be, but that's where I know it's at. So go watch it there. Support Yahoo Screen for the moment, because they're gonna have to come up with something other than Community to really hook anyone into it. But yeah. What is this? Captain Comedy Caption Off. Oh, CBS, you silly bitch. All right, so occasionally comedy shows do this, and it's because they don't have really in-depth storylines. And if you remember, Two Broke Girls was about 2 girls trying to open a bakery, and they kind of did that, and they failed for various reasons. But for whatever reason, the show kept going. And I don't mind, because I think the show's generally funny, even if it doesn't make a lot of sense, or if it's kind of stupid a lot of the time. And the big event that's been building up has been Sophie's wedding. Now, whether or not you care about Sophie enough to make the wedding to Oleg, like Sophie or Oleg enough to care about the wedding that much to make that a big event, is another thing entirely. But the parallel storyline is that Max and Caroline have been working for the Hive, this exclusive pastry place, and they got dumped to the airport location for one reason or another. And they decided that that wasn't good enough, that they do want to follow their dreams after all. And that's the upswing on this. They had two ladies who were flight attendants come on. I want to say they're from Cheers or something from way back in the day, but it was Bonnie and Ronnie, and they're obviously supposed to be from some older TV show where they have this existing repertoire, and I was just like, I don't get it. But they'd make like some weird sex joke and high five, and it was like, okay, I can get on board with the humor. It's just that we're obviously supposed to have backstory on these two is what eluded me. And that was fine. But there are a lot of good funny moments in this. I actually didn't ruin a lot of the humor. I ruined the storyline maybe. But that's probably not why you're watching that show. Because you're probably still watching and have a good time. Because this shows like Two Broke Girls are about the experience. This is the only thing that came out for CBS. A lot of shows are kind of on pause or stop right now. What I am really looking forward to is Melissa Benoist as the new Supergirl. Despite our reservations about the super family in general, Metropolis is not my favorite part of the DC universe. It's just not. I don't really like Green Lantern. Flash, he's good for humor because I watched the Justice League cartoon. But that's really it. The supers are just kind of boring. I like Gotham. Starling City's been okay. Like I like the Canary. I like the Birds of Prey in general. Because I like street level heroes that actually have to overcome things, not the ones that like already have the situation handled. They just have to get there. But the original trailer, not the fan remix that's going around, actually really sold me on the show. I like Melissa Benoist. I thought she got kind of hosed on her character on Glee. So I've been looking forward to seeing something else with her in it. And this is actually looking to be interesting because they're focusing on her and her identity and her personality and not so much the superness. It's not going to be a show where like you run around and you beat up bad guys and you get shot at bullets. Those things will exist. That will not be the focus of the show as far as I can tell. And the point is to have people identify with the character. I finally got this about Superman a little bit ago, why people actually like Superman, because he's the most boring fucking character ever. Oh, Superman's here. I guess we can go home. It's just, they're stupid. It's a waste of time most of the time. But people like to emulate him and like pretend that they're him. And so just by, they like to pretend that just by their presence that they're like all the solutions will be solved and that they're going to be on top of the world. That's what they're thinking when they watch Superman. They'll be like, yes, that's me. They impose Superman into their life or them onto Superman, whatever you want to say that. And I could see that Supergirl is the female counterpart, like so that females can do that too. I've never looked at it that way, so I never got it until recently. So like that's what a lot of people are complaining about with the new Supergirl. Kind of makes me happy and sad in one way that they took off the heat off Jimmy Olsen, but that they can't, it's too girly. I can't identify with it. Fucking don't identify with it. Maybe it's not written for you. But I can identify with it, and I'm definitely not a hot Supergirl. But I want to see the story. I want to see it play out, how they write it. I want to see comic books come to life, and we still haven't got that, but we've got these facsimiles. So let's look forward to that. So I really look forward to talking about that. Is she my DC girlfriend? There's got to be somebody else that's done a DC character. Have we had a Harley Quinn? We did on Birds of Prey, that's right. But there hasn't been a Harley Quinn in the movies yet. And even the new one, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Fuck me if I know who it is in the Marvel universe. There's so many of them. Scarlet Witch is up there. We'll talk about it more in a minute. I do want to watch Elementary. I had a discussion with somebody recently about Elementary, and they're saying, well, I just didn't really like this or this or this. I'm like, well, I do like the show, but I realized that I hadn't watched it in a couple seasons, so maybe I don't like that. So I think I need to make a point about going back and watching it. So the first step is to figure out where I left off and then continue from there. So, because that may determine which platform I have to watch it, because I've got so many at this point that there's no point in just buying a copy or whatever, because I'm probably paying for it through Amazon Prime or Netflix, or I can catch the latest season on CBS.com, and I can pay for it through advertisements. It's fine. I'm okay with that. I did recently find out that Amazon.com has a history list. It's not just for movies you watch, though. So if you viewed... I don't get this. But you can narrow by category. So can I just narrow by Amazon Instant Video? Oh, bingo. We're going to save that.
Oh.
All right, I'll get rid of the other page later. So what that doesn't do is help me with when I watched what, because it doesn't show you the date you viewed it. God damn it, Amazon Prime, get with it. I love these platforms. I love that we have options now, but you need certain basic things, and Big Hero 6 theatrical, but you need certain things to make it work. And if you don't have those, then it's too hard. It's harder than the other thing to use. It doesn't matter that it's too hard. It matters that, oh, Big Hero 6. I can rent you for $5 on Amazon. So we're going to see if you're available on Netflix, and we'll come back around to you, I promise. I'm actually really excited to see that. I'm kind of sad I missed that one in theaters. So Gordon Gibbons' Life on Normal Street. That's the kids series I've been watching on Amazon Prime. It is an Amazon Prime exclusive as far as I know. And maybe it's not, and I'm just completely wrong. But I really like this. It gives me kind of a throwback to my childhood, and I've said this before. Things like Are You Afraid of the Dark, Pete and Pete, Erie, Indiana, things like that, like the old Nickelodeon kids show stuff. So I watched the last 4, and I got to tell you, I was really upset by at least one of these. I'm trying to remember what it was. This Fickle Fortune Teller of Fate, Dragon's Gavel. So what order is this in? I would assume the newest ones are up top. Let me just go to the show. So I know I watched the last 4. Yeah, Through the Spyglass was really cute. It was really, like, that's the last one. It's a really cute thing with, like, dealing with the families and perceived happiness, and actually questions utopia, which I thought was really deep to end that season on. But I like that they can mix it up like that. Let's see. Exclusive clip, whatever. First look. Why are we doing this? Okay, so Gordon and the Relentless Rainbow of Joy. So yeah, in the Lost Treasure of Normal Street, that was the one where they're using the spyglass. I really liked the Fickle Fortune Teller of Fate because it actually questioned time travel or knowing the future. Both, if you will, because it questions fate. Let's say that, and then that's the same thing as time travel to me, because it's if you know your future. Does that then cause that future, or does it cause a different future? And then so that's where you can split into the different theories of the many faceted universe or the singular timeline of fate. So that future that you read includes you knowing about that future, regardless of how you try to prevent it. That's my fatalism. That's what I see. Okay, so the metamorphosis thing was stupid because Ranger tried to be a bug or something. I don't know. Where is it? The Dreamcatcher? The Blood Moon Eclipse was actually neat because they experimented with time dilation in a single plane. So like they essentially had some of the kids that were in a universe that was going much slower compared to. I'm sorry, much faster compared to the normal universe. So it was going like the rate of like something like an hour per minute or something. So they spent like, I don't know, like like a week or something in this pocket dimension. Here we go. Gordimer and the surprise signature. That one I was really interested because they went kind of detective on this. Like sometimes it's supernatural and sometimes it's not. But that was a nice kids detective one. Reminded me of Harriet the Spy a little bit. What it resulted in was Gordimer finding out that there's this girl named Abigail in his class who nobody remembers seeing. And so she can make herself disappear, essentially. I thought she would have been a perfect addition to their little group of craziness, and it would have added a little bit of nice drama, giving Gordimer kind of like a little girlfriend. The fact that she wasn't even mentioned in the following episodes is just heart-wrenching. It's like, okay, fine. If you don't want to pay another actor, you don't want to pay another actor. That's fine. But at least, like, mention her. Like, don't just let someone who literally disappear out of the script. They kept bringing back the Jinxie kid, Stanley. And he's not even that interesting. Like, his whole thing was that, like, he was the unluckiest kid ever. And then they fixed him, essentially. They brought back some of the other kids, too. Or characters, not kids. So we're going to leave here 6 up there. For whatever reason, I needed someone. I just wanted someone to talk. I couldn't find a podcast that I want to listen to at the moment. So I put on the Fluffy movie, Indoor Kids. That's what I should have put on. So if you go to nerdist.com/indoorkids, I don't know if that's actually it. If you go to nerdist.com and go to their podcast, every Monday, the Indoor Kids put out a podcast, and it's cute and neat. They're really good at having conversations on camera or on recording, whatever you want to call it. But the Fluffy movie, it's Gabriel Iglesias. His little story. It's kind of neat because this one actually shotguns his life. I really hate that he called it a fucking movie because it's not a movie, but it's kind of like him telling his story, his life story, as if it was a movie, because it includes very much the beginnings and the ends of a lot of the important things in his life, regardless whether or not it's his life, but the lives around him that make up the quality that is his life. Let's say that. But totally worth it. It's really fun to hear him talk about his kid and his family. He talks about his dad a lot here. I just realized I didn't have it. I'm actually going to rate it 5 stars. So there's that. I did go back and finish Boys and Girls finally. This is probably just disjointed, out of context thing, but like Jason Biggs, like if you ever saw Jason on Pump Strike Back, there's a thing about him being the pie fucker, and he's like, you never noticed me from Boys and Girls or Loser, and I do remember him from those days. I actually like those movies because I like shitty teen romance comedies. Because as much as a pragmatist as I am, I do enjoy the romantic aspect, especially in fiction. Because real life is much more disappointing, but there is that. And then Claire Forlani, I hadn't seen anything with her in a while, or her friend, which I can't remember her name. Hopefully it is Amanda Detmer. I don't know what else she's been in that I could point her out, but she's usually like the spunky best friend or something. She's pretty good, but they managed to wrap it up pretty well. Oh, she's in Final Destination. Okay. I don't remember which death she was, but like that was the first thing that came up. Yeah, sure. Her name's ahead of Allie Larder. That tells you anything. And then Sean William Scott. But like I think where he picked up, they were making out, and it came down to this whole thing where like they both wanted to be, and she was scared, and he was gripping too hard, so she had to run, and then once she ran, he ran, and he stayed away, and then so it actually caused her to pursue, and that's really what it came down to, is that she had to be ready for it, because if she's not ready for it, then what's the point? And because it's a movie, we actually did that. I swear to God, if you were messing with the dog, leave him alone. Okay, she's chasing a bug or something. I thought I heard a dog bark or whine or something. Look over there, and she's gonna have a dog by the nose. Okay, so we're rolling back to Hulu. This is the bulk of our entertainment for tonight, but there are a few things afterwards, so bear with me. Undateable. I don't know if I talked about this one or not, but being that it's in my time frame for scheduling, there's a whole thing with they're finally pairing up Justin with the little waitress, and I love they've been giving her some character. I don't like that it's about Justin, and especially because I want Leslie and him to bang at least before Bursky gets there, because it would just be more interesting that way, more than anything else. Because that's Bursky and Leslie should get together like when they're going to cancel the show. Like that should be a thing. Maybe give them a season where they're together, and then you show how horrible a decision it was. And then Justin and her, and like it's better this way. Because I want that season of like, I can't believe you're dating my sister from Danny. But so bothers me so much I can't remember her name. But waitress girl is trying to win a house. Leslie's actually doing a thing where they're doing a house giveaway to try to like do promotion for the not legislation, real estate market in Detroit, because Detroit is notably forlorn, and hopefully you can't hear that. As far as the real estate goes, Candace, that's her name. So Candace is trying to win a house, and all she has to do is like touch a house and stay standing for longer than everyone else. So Justin and them go down there to support her, and then Justin gets the wild idea to help her try to win the house, because everyone's lying to him about why she's doing it. Of course, she's doing it to get away from him. She doesn't want to like deal with him while she's doing that to get away from him. But he's gonna be around anyway, so I don't see what the difference is. Like, so Danny does it, which should be a conflict of interest because Leslie is her brother, and Leslie is the official judge for this thing. So Danny's there, and he's a big baby, and he actually pushes Candace off the wall, which is ridiculous that he would never do that. So he has to take her place, or he has to continue on in her stead. And of course he doesn't want to because he's lazy and selfish. And then Candace threatens him, which is nice, and he tricks some other guy out of it. And I'm spoilers if I haven't already. But it's such a great episode. If you watched any of it and you like any of it, it's definitely worth the watch. But we get to a point where like Candace wins the house. She goes to open the door. Justin's there for some reason. And of course, he goes to open the door for her. And we had that nice foreshadowing earlier of like, all I ever wanted was a guy who's nice enough to hold the door open for me, which you can go either way with. But the point is that she wanted it, and he's that type of guy, so they must be made for each other. So, of course, she gives him a big whop on the mouth and closes the door in his face. And that sets us up for season 3, 2, 3. What season is this? Season 3. So I don't know if... Well, it's only episode 8, so I guess they're going to keep going. I need to start taking Claritin or something before this. It's the only time I ever noticed I'm doing this. iZombie. I feel like I talked about this one, but I don't think I talked about any of the rest of this. So I'm confused. I definitely didn't talk about S.H.I.E.L.D., did I? I don't think so. My memory's not what it used to be. All right, so the iZombie Patriot Brains. I like that she got some military ups, and she actually got Harun being like, "I'm gonna kill that zombie dick." I didn't actually like the result of the thing. I won't spoil it, whether or not she actually kills him or if there is any collateral damage, because when you're doing that sort of thing, that's kind of what happens. But that's the important part. The I had to have talked about this because this was the one where they used the drone, and I was so happy about that. Which means that a lot of this is probably repetitive, at least from day 6. So I'll do a shortened version just in case. Flash, Rogue Air. They go to Captain Cold for help, trying to transport the other villains. They screw it up. All the villains get away. They do a showdown with Wells, the Atom, and Oliver Queen, and Firestorm show up, which, yeah. So they capture Wells. And you knew that was coming. That wasn't even a spoiler at this point. Guys are making some noises. Arrow. My name's Oliver Queen. A lot of Oliver remembering who he was and who his friends are, and they set up for something big. And I'm willing to bet that if I keep looking at this, I'll see the other episode I actually want to talk about. Marvel's Agent Shield. I didn't think I had talked about this, and maybe I stopped or I started watching or something right before that. Ow. Why are you guys being weird? But that was fairly crazy. That the Inhumans went to such great lengths to attack S.H.I.E.L.D. And maybe this has something to do with them sitting up on the moon. Because I'll be honest, like, I don't have enough Inhuman or S.H.I.E.L.D. history in me, other than, like, I know S.H.I.E.L.D.'s an international peacekeeping force. I don't think they actually have jurisdiction in the United States. They have it, like, they have a worldwide jurisdiction, but it's not like they need the U.S. permission for anything. That's not how they work. How do I say this? So, like, it's been very confusing watching the show and being like, they don't need permission to go to Argentina. And then they're dealing with alien threats and things that don't belong to this world. So that's jurisdiction prime. It's ridiculous thinking that. But seeing the Inhumans go toe-to-toe and like, you've got enhanced everywhere, I'm actually starting to like that term, because my preferred power term was from Image. It was... No, did I actually forget it? SPB, superpowered beings. Enhance is a lot more succinct. So it was really nice to see that. And I don't want to spoil it because it was really, really good. But that last scene, spoilers, fuck it. With Gemma, because like her and Fitz have a really nice moment. And then something happens. And I have no idea what she was thinking, especially given like a containment breach. But I feel like Gemma just got written off the show, which is a shame because my favorite part of the show, for real, which is sad in a way, but definitely my favorite character by far. Maybe she'll come out with powers, and it'll be interesting somehow. But I'm really hoping they end this nonsense. They put Fury back in charge, and even if they don't put Fury on the show, because that'd be expensive, because Samuel Jackson, he fucked themselves on that one. It would be really great if they at least had him giving orders. Just put his name on the phone. Have Maria Hill, who is like in the upper tiers anyways, have her back in charge. Like, Coulson should never have been in charge. That didn't make sense to me, especially since he's a character they made up for the movies. But as far as I know, All right, let's move on because I don't want to. It's really rough when a show's good enough that I'm like, I don't want to really talk about it, but I have to talk about this. Totally worth it to see them all fight it out. Supernatural. Supernatural is an interesting show because occasionally it's just weird on a lot of ways. Um, but but I actually like drew a lot of sympathy for the kid at the beginning, and then I was like, "Yeah, get him for the antagonist." And I realized what was going on, and the Steins, who've been a bunch of assholes lately, were using it as an excuse to harvest somebody. So it's like, he's a douchebag, but you guys suck too. So I was real happy when Dean rolls in all crazy because he's got the blood fury. Because dear old Charlie, good old Felicia Day, got herself killed because she's an idiot. No one's fault but hers. I don't know why you would leave the secure compound, run away from everyone who could help protect you. I don't know what Renena's deal was either. There was no point in like antagonizing Charlie out of being useful. It's just a bunch of stupid shit. But like we've got the cipher now. We know we've got the cipher. We've got Sam trying to kill Crowley for real, which is probably not going to happen. Dean's pissed at everyone, and he almost kills Cass. Or does he? Ridiculous thing. And like Castiel, I wanted him back in fighting force, and I want him to be able to save and heal people and be able to move super fast. But like with the wings being burned, I totally get that he can't fully do that. But he should still be better than what we're seeing, and I'm upset. I want to be God cast back for a little while. I think that was fun. But as far as Dean goes, I don't think I'd do it any other way. You gotta secure things. Well, you could have brought him over. He could have been a part of the team. But the middle, not a lot to say about this. Like Sue's graduating, so like they want to throw a party, but they're broke, and so they take the little money they have for the party store. And then Brick is supposedly gonna skip 8th grade or something, but he ends up buying a Batman costume. And Axel is jealous of Devin's brothers, so Devin drives from Idaho. Yeah, that's it in a shot. There's your bad summary. Modern Family, I remember them going to a theater and trying to rip up like a stone block where there's probably pipes and stuff because their dad's an idiot. And then Claire trying to get emotions out of her dad and getting emotions out of her dad and then not being emotional. And then they're going through something similar with Mitchell and Lily, which I actually thought was one of the funnier things because like she's just like, I just don't want to make daddy cry and you guys are always going to be better, which is sweet and innocent a thing to say. But like they had to throw some reality at her being like, no, someday daddies are going to die. And it just broke her little heart. I don't know why I found that amusing, but I did. But it was nice to see like just the softness and everything. Like everyone's getting along for this reason or that reason. And there was very little like super conflict. Or if there was conflict, it rounded out nicely and softened. And that's what these shows are supposed to be about. Both those shows are supposed to be family shows. And yeah, you get the dysfunctional dynamic, but they're supposed to make you feel good about being a family. And sometimes that's nice. Grimm, Cry Havoc. Oh, that's right. That's right. They start trying to hunt down Juliet and the Royals. I really like Sergeant Wu in this especially. Because they're like, no, stay. And he's like, figured you could use the help. Can I still bring my shotgun? They're like, yeah, bring the shotgun. And it's not his fault that they got alerted and got away. Spoilers. Sorry. That was totally going to happen anyways. They were already on their way to the chopper. There was some bullshit that went on afterwards. That is the big spoiler, and I actually don't want to say it because it actually makes everything else pretty interesting. So I'm going to leave that a mystery. But let's just say Nick and Juliet's, probably Adeline's relationship really gets amped up to the next level here. And all I want to do is see Nick have some Hex Beast boinky boinky, because at this point he's going to be doing one of them. And that would be the great irony if he ended up with Adeline. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Johnny and Dora. I have no idea what that means. I know that Terry steals a filing cabinet from City Hall or some shit. They're after an identity thief? Okay, so the storyline that I remember is Terry and the secretary or whatever going to get a letter to put Munch under, so that the captain can come out on top for once, and not be promoted to public relations where she wants him. And at this point, I'm totally convinced it's a sexual thing. She's mad. He doesn't want her box to check. And so fuck her sex, or what's it called? Biggest. Let's just call it a bigotist. Or bigot ass, anti-gay motherfucker. So like she's kind of pissing me off, and then she finally gets to a point where like her and him both kind of have leverage on each other, and then she pulls the trigger and puts him in a spot, and he has to make a decision. And so it ends on a very, very cliffhanging note, and I'm wanting to see what happens with that a lot. And it's not Brooklyn Nine-Nine is not a show of substance. The storyline matters for shit. What matters is the cast, and they're making a huge cast change, whether you call it an addition or whatnot, because they've got to bring somebody else in because there's this blank public relations slot. Somebody's got to fill it, and somebody's got to be captain. So that's the big question: is who's going to be who and what. So I'm actually going to leave that one as a hanger. Yeah. Family Guy was weird. Really weird. It was this whole like couples therapy thing, and there was this parallel storyline with Carter Schmidt and the kids trying to teach them how to be old people, which was a week's worth of, was destroyed in 5 minutes of screen time. But like it was just one of these bullshitty things. It's like they're all obviously bad relationships. They're like, that's part of the joke, is that like, why do these families work? Why are they together after all these years? What the fuck is going on? And this episode makes fun of that entirely, which I actually think is kind of funny, but like the way they go about it is really bad. And like they even do this thing where they're like, oh, we're all going to trade wives, and you'll learn to appreciate your wives that way. And they don't. And the wives freak out, even though they're the ones that brought the husbands here, tricked them into doing it, no less. And if they had agreed, I would totally be on board. But like, you're being manipulative little shits. Yes, they need to work on it, but you've got to have them agree to it. You can't force them into it, which I may have to take back in like 5 seconds, because the way they go about it, which I actually think would be a way to work, is they scare them into life and death situations and make them appreciate what they have, especially since they have no chemistry with the people they're traded off with for serious things. Like they're just there for like, they like superficial things about each other. Maybe like there's whole thing where Quagmire like sprays lotion on Bonnie's back, things like that. I don't know. Family Guy, again, it's a wrong place to ask philosophical questions, but I find myself doing it more and more lately. There is a thing, and I don't know how long the thing is, because I found it, and I finally remembered to watch it. There's the guy, I want to say, no, not Josh Hartnett. I don't know what else he's from, but it's called What Lives Inside. As far as I know, it's a Hulu specific thing, sponsored through Dell. Fuck you, Dell, by the way. You shitty computers. Had to put up with it in the Army, and I got Dell customer service fucking bothering me. Fuck you. Okay, I'm done. But it's called What Lives Inside, and it's actually a really cool thing. It reminds me a lot of the short, The Ventriloquist, that has Kevin Spacey in it. I want a full movie of that still. But What Lives Inside, I saw the first episode through a YouTube advertisement, because if you watch the commercials on people's things, then you get them a little bit of money, maybe a few cents, but hell, you're supporting them somehow. So do that. So What Lives Inside it's essentially like the son of Jim Henson's story. Like, the dad puppeteer dies because he made this wonderful world of things, and then his son kind of, it looks like he's losing his mind, because in reality he keeps disappearing at awkward times, and at the same time he's possibly imagining that he's going to this puppet world, and he's being chased by a two-headed dragon, and he meets his childhood friend, and he's going through like tiny doors in his dad's workshop and all this crazy shit. And then like all of a sudden, like, he cuts back to reality, and he's like trying to crawl through a doggy door. And then his buddy's like, I don't know what you're doing, but we need to go see your mom, because you kind of just ditched your dad's wake, fucker. So that kind of thing. And so I think it's supposed to end, what is available so far that I've watched anyways, is supposed to make you question whether or not he's having a breach of reality, or if reality includes this other dimension, essentially. But I found it damn intriguing, and I want more. I want a movie, a series, whatever I can get from it. I did watch a couple other pilots and stuff. I don't know if I was actually looking for new stuff, but I think other things just kind of started playing off my to-watch list afterwards. There's a show called The Messengers. I don't know how I feel about this show. It's very religion-y, because the whole idea is that, like, a meteorite crashes on Earth, and then these people die, and then they get resurrected, but they are now imbued with the spirit or word of the Lord. And there's this one guy who looks like he's an angel, but it must be from Supernatural, because he's a dick. And he starts blackmailing one of the other people to do a job for him that he can't do for whatever reason. So it's just really weird. And I think that's actually part of the show in general. 5 Strangers to Perish. Okay. And one of them's like a little kid, so I don't know what's going to happen with that. But the other one I watched was Body of Proof. This is much more clean cut. It's really weird, because normally, like, when I watch like a murder mystery show, it's got like a gimmick or something to it. Like Castle, he's a writer. iZombie, it's like she eats brains, and then like she has flashbacks. True Calling, which is an amazing show, check it out sometime. She flashes back to the day before after having experienced a day with the body or whatever. She ends up living the day, and then the body asks for help, and then she gets rewinded to the day before. So she has like 24 hours to help the person not be murdered. 6 Feet Under, the guy would bring the person back to life for about 60 seconds on a timer. And then they would interrogate the dead person, and then use that information to solve their murder, which could be anything from like Mary Gracie killed me, or there was peanuts in my salad, to like, I don't know that I'm dead. What are you talking about? Would you explain everything? So that show was really very arranged, and I actually miss it a lot. The visual styling that it was in, the audio styling, the exposition. I miss that show a lot now that I think about it. I don't know if it was 6 Feet Under. Oh, now you're gonna. Now I really want to know what it was. I think that's what it was. And then there was the other show, Dead Like Me, that was very interesting. And the cast on there was really interesting, but it wasn't a murder mystery show. It was kind of something else. Oh, Fox. Oh, we need to talk. I forgot about that. Man, glad I went to IMDb. Where are we at? What was I typing in? I don't know. 6 Feet Under. Is that the show that I'm thinking of? Oh, that doesn't look right. Well, I hope you can't hear that. I will come back to that right before I talk about the last couple things. No, normally I'm really happy to see Lauren Ambrose's name come up, but apparently 6 Feet Under is something else entirely. Which went on for 5 seasons from 2001 forward. A drama series that takes a darkly comical look at the members of a dysfunctional California family that runs an independent funeral home. That is not what I'm looking for at all. Murder mystery pie shop. Let's go. Alex, I'm trying to Google things. Okay, he spelled more than usual, but he's okay. Pies to Prejudice is actually a really good name. Why? Pushing Daisies. That's it. That is the show you should go watch. So yay for the internet. Let's move on. Resident Advisors. This was a really interesting show. I only could find 1 season of it. Elizabeth Banks shows up, and she is a doctor for boners. That's not a euphemism. Enjoy that when you finally get to it, because it was pretty entertaining. The only, like, I recognize the main guy and girl from this, but maybe that's what I should have been looking up. Things that I actually talk about, but like not from anything in particular. They're just like, oh, I've seen you, and then like the next person I recognized past that was the younger version of the girl from Easy A, Emma Stone. Emma Stone's character from Easy A, like back when she was trying to kiss somebody and like he was gay or something. I was like, I know that person from somewhere, but where is it? And then the girl from the conflict resolution course, I definitely recognize, but I could not tell you where from. And she was hilarious. She deserves a bonus or something for that, because that was amazing. And then there was another thing, the motivational speaker. So the same episode with Elizabeth Banks, they got Elizabeth Banks. They got Jamie May in there as a motivational speaker. So lots of nice little audio clips from that. It's all a show about some resident advisors and their students and whatnot, like that they're advising residentially. It's not a complex show. It's one of these silly college shows, but it doesn't get too far off the crazy wagon. It's just somebody had a fun idea for a show. Somebody did it, and I'm really applaud that, because it's an entertaining show. It's definitely worth your time to watch, but I wouldn't say that it's going to win any awards. I'm not going to say that like anyone's going to remember it for the end of their days. But it's only 7 episodes. Check it out. And there's 7 22-minute episodes, so it did not run very long. Yeah, and now that I think about it, I don't know that I finished watching The Flash, because I had a little bit of time to kill. So let me make sure. God, man. Exactly, CT. Exactly. When in doubt, just chew on your nails mercilessly. Cats are weird. Okay, yeah, I did not finish watching The Flash.
Hey, what's up, guys?
No, pause. I'll watch your advertisement later, I promise. Man, I got things to look up. So that finishes up with Hulu. Okay. Another thing that I found, okay, HBO Now. If you wanted HBO Go, especially for Game of Thrones, and you don't have cable or HBO or Apple TV, you can do it through iTunes now. It's called HBO Now. And it turns out that if you go to HBONow.com, it doesn't really work well through Safari 5. Like, you can navigate, but you can't really watch on there. And then Chrome, you can watch, but you can't navigate. I haven't tried Firefox yet. But I'm going to figure it out, because I was watching through my iPad, and fuck that noise. If I can watch on my laptop, I'm going to do that, because it's going to be awesome. But I found Lucky Louie. Apparently, before Louis C.K. did Louie, he did a show called Lucky Louie, because it was when he was younger and not as funny. But it's still pretty good. I'm assuming he did a lot of the writing on it, because it sounds like him. Producers Louis C.K., Pamela S. Adlin. So he's married to Pamela S. Adlon. It's if you've seen Louie but not Lucky Louie, it's the short girl that he's in love with for far too much time, and she moves away for her son's dad. Little hot brunette, raven hair chick, probably brunette. Now that I'm looking at her, but it only goes 13 episodes, and just from the titles, because I haven't finished the season yet, it does not go well. Like, I'm still on the point where they're happy, they're trying, they want a second kid, and they just hit this big bump because he got her flowers. That, and there's an episode called Flowers for Kim. That's the last one I remember. I may have watched more, but fell asleep. And then, being that the next ones are discipline, get out, drinking. I think there's a downhill slide somewhere. So I think they were setting up for redemption in season 2, but knowing Louis C.K., there probably wasn't ever any plan, and so it got canceled. And then he came out with Louis and fucking did it that way. So good on him. But the very first pilot is him explaining to his daughter all these things. She's just like, why? And it ends on this really macabre note. And I really enjoyed that. So that definitely sold me into the rest of the season, because I was like, I wonder if this is any good. Game of Thrones. I have no idea what they're planning on doing. I think they were leaning heavy on the books, but they were skipping over a lot of the stuff because details and whatnot. And I don't think they had planned to get ahead of him properly, because we had several missions going on in the south and the east, and then business in the north, and then some stuff at King's Landing. So like, we're really all over the place, and it's getting a little noisy to talk about. So let's start with Jamie and Bronn going to the south to get his niece. That was a really cute idea, but apparently the Sand Snakes had the same idea, so they all fought, and then the guards fought all of them and won. Because you didn't see that coming, did you? The Lannisters, I think, have every right to take their kin back. The fact they did it all sneaky-like, I think, fucked it up. But because they're the Lannisters, they assumed that if they announced anything, they would just kill her, because that's what the Lannisters would have done. And that's what some of Dorne wants to do anyways. So I'm really looking forward to seeing all that resolve, and I'm actually betting the girl who put the Sand Snakes together, the Viper's former lover, cannot remember her name, ends up teaming up with Jamie and Bronn somehow, and they all go back to King's Landing. So back in King's Landing, I did not get the welcoming party for Baelish that I wanted, because I wanted something to explode. We just got this weird little political warning standoff thing that was there. What we did get was some fucking ridiculous bullshit with Cersei being able to manipulate the church into accusing and taking prisoner the queen and the queen's brother, which is just horse shit. And they all know it. Everyone there knows it. Tommen's just too much of a coward to do anything. And Cersei's sitting there like giggling when like everyone knows that she fucked her brother 3 kids deep. Like, let the church have that one. And I bet they do. I bet that's how we lose Cersei. I bet that's how she dies. It's ridiculous. It's preposterous that she ever thought that would go well for her. Because she's probably going to try to disarm them, and they're going to be like, oh, well, that's interesting you said that, because you're on trial now. Let's see. Where are we at? In the East, whatever his name is, God, I cannot remember people's names. Jorah's escorting Tyrion. They get captured by slavers. The interesting bit is going to be that they're going to take them to the fighting pits that we all hate. So they're going to have him fight for cash in the fighting pits, and that way they can actually get near Daenerys, and Daenerys may or may not just execute Jorah on sight. And I have no idea what she's going to do with Tyrion. That's going to be the most interesting thing that happens out of all that. And in the north, horrible things because Ramsay finally marries Sansa. And of course, that does not go well for Sansa because she knew as soon as Baelish dropped her off there that she was going to have to do Ramsay. And then, of course, he's not a gentleman. He's a manipulative sadist. So, yeah, that's what's happening. And I'm willing to bet Sansa gets pregnant, if not like on this time further. And the comments have been a lot that the show's very rapey. I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm not saying I promote it either. I'd actually much rather do without a lot of it, but it's fitting for the time period, because that's kind of what happened back in our days, and it wasn't. It's this weird thing because it's like on paper she agreed to it, but like in the act itself, there's a no, and I'm for the stoppage thereof. And we knew he was a bastard beforehand, so we really don't have to deal with that again. The fact she's making Theon watch, and then like if like we got to a point where like I don't know, like if he was manipulating her into wanting him, like that, I would be for that, but that doesn't jog his thing. But I'm willing to bet like there's some weird thing where like he calls Miranda in to be the handmaiden while they're having sex or something, and like so there's gonna be a thing, and we're gonna end up losing Miranda in an attempt to assassinate Sansa, like faux real, probably right in front of Ramsay, which is gonna be like, this won't do at all. You know what we do to problems, and problems are boring, or whatever that stupid line is that he has. All right, I got 3 things I want to talk about, but I think I'm actually going to break off and do the last thing, a couple things last, or on a separate video because I got to take a break here. Scream Queens is the new thing by Fox. I'm totally into. Based on the trailer, it's a lot of like, it's a slasher series where it's like apparently there's some serial killer after this sorority or house or some shit, and like slashing up the sorority. There's my jam for a slasher horror movie. But I'm going to bid you adieu for now. I will be back later. I'm going to come back and talk about Age of Ultron and Ex Machina because I did go to the theater this week, but I got to take a break here. So I'll see you. You'll see me in a little bit. Bye.